Hi all, this is Sander. Today I'd like to talk to you about the glory of God and what it is, how it manifests, at least in basic ways to people like me, regular people. So the first that I learned about the glory of God, I was reading the book called No Compromise, The Life Story of Keith Green. He was a Christian singer-songwriter. Look that up, Google it. So I was reading in his book where one night he and his wife Melody were having a home Bible study, worship group, home group, and they were worshiping God, the whole group, and all of a sudden this mist appeared out of the blue. Just appeared. This mist or this cloud appeared in their home and filled the room. And that is called the Shekinah glory. And I've experienced that once in the home group that I was in while I was in my former megachurch. It didn't manifest fully, but I opened my eyes and I could see sparkles. I could see some white stuff and some sparkles. So that's the first type of glory of God. The second is called the Kabod or Kabod. If you want to use Hebrew, it's spelled Kabod in English. In Hebrew, it would be spelled Kavod. The B and the V are interchangeable. So the Kabod or the Kabod. The Kabod, that's in the Bible. In the Old Testament, when Eli was the prophet over Israel, it might be in the book of Judges, and the Kabod is, nobody told me about the Kabod. I read about it in Judges in relation to Eli, and that story where Eli dies and his two sons die in a war, and one of the wives of the guys who died says, the glory of God has departed because the enemies took the Ark of the Covenant. The word that she uses, the glory, is kabod or kavod. Now, nobody told me what the kabod was. I experienced it for myself back when I was in my former megachurch. Probably late 80s, 1989 maybe. I was sitting one day on the back row of my church. By the way, when I first attended that church, I would sit in the third row from the front because I wanted to be up front and center. And as I became more disillusioned, my seating kept going back. And I was sitting in the back row of my church one day, and we were waiting for the service to start. And, there are 300 people in the room, and of course people start talking. So there's there's a hum of voices in the room, and all of a sudden I feel this weight. I feel this heaviness come down on my shoulders, come down around me. And I felt like I could just barely breathe. It wasn't a breathing problem, but I felt like I should hold really still and not say anything, and you felt like you should behave yourself. Not that I was misbehaving, but you just felt like, I felt like God was there. And I felt like he was putting his hands on my shoulder, like he was standing behind me, putting his heavy hands on my shoulder. And it just felt like a huge weight came down in the room. And I was, being a shy person, an INFJ, I was afraid to say anything to anybody, like, do you feel that? I was afraid to say anything, so I didn't. But I felt like, I felt like saying to people, don't you know God is here? Can't you feel that? Like, people just kept talking. So I don't know whether the glory, the kabod, was just on me or if it was on the whole room. I don't know, because I didn't ask. I should have asked. And I feel now, as an older person, I feel like I should have said something to the assistant pastor or pastor. Like, I should have said, God is here. You might want to quiet down. He's here. And then I heard about the Kabod again when I learned about the Asbury revival of 1971 in Kentucky. Or was it? Asbury College in Kentucky. You can Google it. You'll find it. And look on YouTube too. You'll find videos. The Kabod showed up there at that revival. And what the college president said was that when you stepped into the chapel at that college, you could feel it. It was like, he said there was a heaviness in the air. That was the presence of God, and you could feel it. You couldn't see it, but you could feel it. And that it was powerful. It was for the whole week of the revival, you could feel that Kabod presence of God. So that's all I know and what I'd like to tell you about the glory of God. If you ever feel it, let me know. If you've seen the Shekinah, let me know. I believe that God wanted to let me know what those were because he knew that my heart was hungry for it. And I was not getting it in my megachurch. And I was not being taught about it in my megachurch. So God wanted to show me that there was more for us Christians. I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.